Governors Representative Anna is absent. Board of Governors Representative Drew.
Present.
Awesome. Nice to see you, Drew. Education Representative.
Present.
Awesome. Equity Representative.
Present.
All right. Indigenous Student Representative. Oh, Molly's mic is not working. Sorry, I didn't know that. Molly is here. Her mic is not working. International Student Representative. I think, is Darren in the chat? Does it say? Sorry. Okay. We will come back to that. Sorry. I'm going to keep moving forward. Student of African Descent Representative.
Present.
Thank you. Science Representative.
Present.
Right. And then we have the President.
Present. Sorry.
Thank you, Jack. Vice President Academic.
Here.
Vice President External Affairs.
Here.
All right. Vice President Residence Affairs.
Here.
Vice President Finance and Operations.
Here.
Vice President of Activities and Events.
Here.
All right. The U's General Manager.
Here.
Deputy Chair.
Here.
All right. And I do not think... Ooh. Okay. All right. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to start with my land acknowledgement. I would like to begin acknowledging that we are in Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. The territory is covered by the treaties of peace and friendship, which Mi'kmaq and Wolastoqey peoples first signed with the British Crown in 1725. The treaties did not deal with the surrender of lands and resources, but in fact recognized Mi'kmaq and Wolastoqey title and established the rules for what was to be an ongoing relationship between nations. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming, everyone. We have a couple of guests on the line. So we have Mary Catherine, who is from Gallivan, joining us today. I think we have Sandy Iverson, who's going to pop in. She is from the library. We have Anamika. She is doing a wonderful presentation on the Student Food Resource Center, which is super exciting. And I think we do have some people in the gallery as well. So it's going to be a great day, super exciting council, lots of fun, lots of presentations, so buckle in. Yeah. All right. Sean from Galvan also, welcome to all our guests. It's so exciting to have you here. If we want to get started with the approval of the agenda, if someone would like to make the motion.
I move to approve the agenda.
All right. Thank you, Jack. And a second, please.
I second.
A second.
All right, thank you very much. And is there any discussion on this motion? No. All right, would someone like to call the question?
I move to call the question.
Thank you, Tiana. All right. All those opposed, please raise your hands. All right, no opposition. All those who would like to abstain, please raise your hand. All right, the motion passes unanimously. If we want to move into the approval of minutes, if someone would like to begin with the approval of the minutes.
I move to approve the minutes.
Thank you very much. All right, and a second, please.
I second.
Thank you. Any discussion at this time? All right, if someone would like to call the question.
I move to call the question.
All right. Okay. All those who would like to oppose the motion to approve the minutes from last council meeting. All those who would like to abstain. No one? Okay. The motion passes unanimously. All right, so we're going to move right into constituency reports, folks. Just going to scroll to the top of my thing. Margaret, if you'd like to get started on your constituency report.
Yeah, so hi everybody. Hope everyone had a great week. It's a beautiful day out there. So for like the past month, not too much on the go, but we did kick off with the Gov Review Committee last Thursday. And Sean and Nick pretty much just gave us a breakdown and a run through of what business we'll be getting into throughout the school year. So I'm super excited to get started getting policy writing done and stuff. Me and Meredith and Tiana also met to go over the academic plan consultation questions. We did some good editing there, a lot of revision work. So I think, yeah, it'll be looking good there in very short time. In other business, I'm trying to brainstorm some ways to get first years more like connected with each other and like in their program. And I was thinking of like sort of like maybe solidifying like the Facebook networks between like each program, but I also don't want to like muddle down everybody with too much information on Facebook because there's already like so many groups and stuff. So if anyone else had any like suggestions or any feedback, like it'd be greatly appreciated. So that's it on my end though. So yeah.
All right, thank you so much, Margaret. Does anybody have any questions for her? All right. Okay. Yeah, thank you once again. We're going to move forward with Business Unit Representative Hunter, if you'd like to go ahead.
Great. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yep, you're good.
Perfect. It was a little bit of a slower month for me. The Emergency Grants Committee met a few times, twice this month, and gave funds to some students and sent a few back for review. Brendan will have more information on how much we gave out. And we also worked a bit on the academic priority planning. I was unable to meet with the girls to revise the questions that they had in those, but I also got to attend one of the consultation sessions to give input and prepare to facilitate sessions in the fall. That's pretty much it for me.
Awesome. Thank you, Hunter. Does anybody have any questions at this time? All right. Okay, we're going to move forward with Board of Governors Representative Dhruv. Dhruv, if you'd like to go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Can you guys hear me properly?
Yep, you're good.
Or am I cutting? Okay, thank you. So my month hasn't been a lot lately. I didn't do a lot of stuff as I'm on vacation, but I still had a great opportunity to do this Leaders Hall with our healthcare provider, Gallivan. I'm really thankful to Sean Ryan, who suggested me that you should be a good speaker, and Mary Catherine, who invited me to be there. So it was an amazing session. We had about 60 students. It was a panel specific for international students, where we had international students across Canada, and I was one of the 3 speakers. So happy. It was one of our big things, a big start for the year. So I spoke along to other people, and then we had some amazing feedback from students that we might start working on at X as well. So one of the things that came up was planning an International Students Week, which I'm really excited. I'll be talking to our execs and everybody. So that's coming up. And we also discussed that we might be writing down portfolio and terms of reference for making a student job at CNFX for summer intern for international students. So that's also exciting. And I'm really thankful for that. So that's it on my end. If you guys have any questions, you can ping me up in my email or like just shoot me a text in Messenger or Instagram, whatever. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dhruv. Does anybody have any questions for him at this time? All right. We're going to move forward with Education Representative Tiana. If you would like to get started, I know your Wi-Fi is being a bit sus.
Yes. Sorry there. I'll try to keep it quick. I also don't have too much to report on for this last period here. Been keeping up with the U with their updates on the memorandums. As Margaret mentioned, I met with herself and Meredith to make some edits on the academic planning questions. I believe that we did really good. We made really good progress. Sorry on that. I had one meeting with the publication board committee. That was a really exciting case that we're looking into. There'll be some upcoming meetings with the library strategic planning committee and a couple others that will be coming up soon. And in other business, with my joint role with the education exec committee, we're really just planning on welcoming our new students in the fall, seeing what we can do to better have them more connected to the university, the students union, the ed department, all of that stuff. So I'm keeping busy with that work as well. Other than that, I don't have too much more to report.
Awesome, thank you so much. Does anybody have any questions at this time? All right, we already did education. Equity Representative Tiffany, if you'd like to get started.
Hey everyone, so yeah, basically it was a pretty slow month, but for external affairs, I met with Ben and Darren to discuss what like external affairs basically means and like potential questions for student at large applications. For equity rep, nothing, or like equity committee, nothing to report. I also failed to mention this last time, but for other business, I also attended the academic plan consultation just to discuss OERs and decolonizing classrooms and curricula. Otherwise, that's basically it for my part.
Awesome, thank you so much. Molly's mic is still not working, so we're just going to pop over that one quickly. It is in the council package, and if you have any questions, feel free to send her an email or a message. And then we're going to move forward with International Student Representative Darren, if you'd like to present.
Hello, can anyone hear me? I'm joining on phone. I don't know if I didn't have my computer here, so that's why.
Yep, you're good.
Thank you. All right, thank you. Yeah, like on my side, there isn't really like much going on either. Like as Drew said, we answered some questions for the international students and asked for like questions for the board about like how international student services are and tuition are and kind of more like financial stuff based on. And other than that, as Tiffany said, like me, Tiffany, Ben had a meeting for external affairs committee to figure out what kind of questions will be on like a job application for that and what does it really mean and what's we gonna do type. Other than that, there isn't much going on. Hopefully we'll have the international dental plan and health meeting soon. And yeah, that's all.
Awesome, thank you so much. Does anybody have any questions at this time for Darren? Nope, all right. Student of African Descent Representative Atik, if you'd like to start.
Hey guys, can you hear me? Okay, so this month was pretty quiet and didn't have much to report. I found out that I was nominated for co-chair of the equity committee, and I'm really excited for that. And I believe that we were supposed to have a meeting for the campus affairs, but I saw in my email that it got canceled, and so didn't know what really happened with that. But other than that, that's about it. I know the Muslim community is celebrating Eid on Tuesday now, so I'm just looking forward to celebrating that. But other than that, that's all.
Awesome, thank you. Drew, did you have a question? No, sorry. Okay, all right. Science representative. Why am I blanking on your name? I'm so sorry. Mackenzie, if you'd like to get started.
That's okay, Naomi. I'll forgive you. I really have nothing to report. It's been a really quiet reporting period. All I'm going to say is happy phase 4 to everyone who's in Nova Scotia. And I love hearing about everyone getting double vaccinated. So I hope everyone has a great rest of the summer.
Woohoo! All right. Any questions for Mackenzie? All right, folks. We're going to move into business arising. Is there any business arising? Any motions that would like to be placed on the table? Oh, sorry. Did we skip someone, Drew?
We skipped the exact.
No,
Exacts come
no,
after.
everybody.
Sorry, folks. They come after
Never
business.
mind.
Yeah, what's up? Are we good?
No, it's okay. Forward. No,
All right.
go ahead.
Okay. now that there's no business arising on the table, we're going to head into exec reports. Jack, if you'd like to begin.
Sorry, struggling to find my button there. Yes, it's been, well, hello everybody, nice to see you all. Yeah, it's been another reporting period. We were getting a lot done, and we're definitely start preparing for students to come back to campus, which is super exciting. So really looking forward to seeing all of you in person this fall. But yeah, a lot of what we did at the very start of the reporting period, we did have our first Board of Governors meeting. It went very well. It was great. Anna and Drew and I got to meet a lot of the board members and partake in the 2-day board meeting. Beyond that, like a lot of it's all in my report. I'll highlight a few of the things we've been working on. We are still working with Reese. Meredith's kind of taken the lead on that to try to get that onto our campus. It's just an online platform for reporting sexual violence. So we're working with the university to get that onto our campus. We are still working heavily on some off-campus advocacy. It's one of our annual plan goals, which we'll go over later. But yeah, we've been working a lot with the university and the Landlord Association, the town, and ourselves. So we're still looking at just going over kind of what we're going to be looking at for off-campus students this fall. One thing that we have kind of noticed is a lot of conversation about parking fees. So we are meeting with the university tomorrow. We're meeting with Andrew and I believe Elizabeth to just bring forward a lot of the concerns we've been hearing from students about parking fees. So looking forward to that. And the MOU has been a lot of work for Meredith and I lately. We've been focusing on that and the student community protocols. So we've just been reviewing those documents and making edits to it. And we're hoping that we'll have a draft document to send out to students soon to look for feedback. One other thing I want to highlight, we did have a government roundtable at the province of Nova Scotia. Students of Nova Scotia, we were able to do a presentation, which Ben kind of led with the executive director, Lydia, which they really crushed and did an awesome job. So shout out Ben. And yeah, beyond that, we've still been, the exec team has been in the Maritime Student Conference. We've had a lot of sporadic kind of meetings for that. Just meeting other executives from across the Maritimes and having some sessions that has been very helpful. And then one other big thing is the annual plan. So we did put a lot of amount of time into our annual plan building. So it's still in the draft stages, which we'll be presenting to you a little later. But yeah, that's about all.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jack. Does anybody have any questions for him at this time? All right. Thank you so much. Drew, a question?
Yeah, I'm really glad, Jack, that we folks are focusing on off-campus advocacy this year. But when I went through the exec report, I was kind of confused that what is going to be the specifics. And since I was wondering that it impacts a big international students community, is there any plan on specifically focusing on that community? Because with our stats, a lot of international students, mostly all of them, prefer to live off campus. And this thing was raised earlier and earlier. And it has been always a problem that landlords have been really rude to international students community. And they have always been attacking them, or not attacking, but harassing them with well, I'll go to RCMP and then you will lose your study permit or something. And then it's a lot of things for international students. So is there any specific, are you guys planning to do anything for that?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because that is something we can bring forward. I am looking to kind of start to mobilize a committee specifically for off-campus students. It would be between the Landlords Association, the town, and the university and ourselves. It would be the goal to have that set up for the fall. And that's something we could bring forward and make more prominent to Jack Sullivan, I believe, who's the head of the Landlords Association. And see if we can, because the university is working quite closely with them right now. They kind of started a lot last year when COVID hit. So they're working very closely with the Landlords Association to like really bring some of these issues forward. So it's definitely something that Ben and I could bring forward at the next Town and County update. And then further to that, we do know there are some students at St. Mary's University, and they're focusing on having a couple like workshops throughout the year. They're specifically for international students and like living off campus and giving a lot of insight into like kind of what kind of things to look for, what your rights are as a tenant, just to make sure it's very clear for international students. So that'll be something we're promoting once we see the content of it to see if it is good, and we'll be promoting those to our international students. So that's yeah. Does that kind of answer your questions?
Yeah, definitely. Like it's a lot of things. So
yeah,
like, if you need any kind of help with that, you can ping me up or Darren, or I would say you can even reach out to international office and we could work on that.
Great. Yeah, for sure. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Drew. Meredith, if you'd like to get started on your report.
So everything big is in the written report, but just the big highlights are I've been working with Erin Austin, who's the chair of the Faculty Professional Development Committee, and some faculty and some librarians to put together a professional development session for faculty to help them learn about OER and where they can find them, that sort of thing. Reese, we're just kind of waiting on the university. They have a bunch of like risk management assessments to do and like some privacy things to look into with their IT department. So we're just like waiting on that. And then the biggest thing I wanted to just mention to you all was the academic equity policy, which I'm realizing now I wrote academic integrity policy in my report. But it's basically just a policy that I'm going to try and bring forward to Senate this year that would offer academic accommodations for students when things like cultural practices or like basically anything that prevents them from being able to engage with their education that has to do with like an equity related concern. So it would be pretty broad, and it would just kind of like outline like specific like the procedures and stuff that students can take to get academic accommodation. And I'm going to be coming back to you folks to talk about specific concerns that we'd like to see addressed in that policy, but just wanted to mention it to you folks now. And anything else is kind of just in my report. So.
All right, thank you so much, Meredith. Does anybody have any questions for her at this time? Awesome. All right, we're going to move forward with the Vice President of External Affairs. Ben, if you would like to present your report.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Naomi, and good to see everybody. Happy Sunday. So as Mary was saying, kind of there, like most of the stuff's in my report, and it ended up being like a really large reporting period. But I'll just go through a couple things and highlight here. So the first thing I wanted to touch on was get out the vote. So as you guys may have seen, yesterday the writ was finally dropped. So there will be a provincial election, and the vote is going to be exactly a month from yesterday, so on the 17th of August. So that is kind of like my main focus now, is getting student voices out there, making sure that students know how to vote and can get to the polls. So a lot of the things that our team's been working on is get out the vote sessions. So a lot of taking time with like other executive teams and talking to officials from Elections Nova Scotia. We also created like a Get Out the Vote launch video, which we'll be launching tomorrow morning. Lots of like fumes, so like getting all of our ideas together, creating work plans for what we want to see. So yeah, that's been probably the largest thing that I've been working on the past couple weeks, just trying to get ready for this when it drops. And then also doing a lot of stuff, working with OERs, like building a presentation with Jack and Meredith to present to the university's administrative team. So that's pretty good. And then also that annual plan, getting all of our goals together. I'd say that's probably the main things that took up my time this past couple of weeks. But everything's in my report. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to send me a message or ask it in the chat. It'd be great. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ben. Does anybody have any questions for him at this time? All right, we're going to move forward with Vice President of Residence Affairs, Sophia, if you'd like to take the floor.
Hi, everybody. most of what I've been working on is in my report, but I'll pull out some highlights. One of the biggest things I've been working on is the House elections proposal that I'll be presenting to you guys this afternoon. I also have been doing a lot of work with the university and the student life department regarding the residence renewal project. So I sit on 2 subcommittees and the advisory committee. So that's a lot of my time during the week with a lot of meetings. Also working with the exec team on the annual plan, really narrowing down my goals and our goals, as well as I finalized a new House Points policy, not House Points policy, House Points system for next year. And I also wrote my exec report on Wednesday and assumed I would get 2 things done this week that I actually didn't get done. So the job posting for student advocates should be up next week. Although it says it's up already, it is not. And O-Week shirts will be ordered on Monday. I was expecting to order them Friday, but that did not occur. So thanks, everybody.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Does anybody have any questions for Sophia at this time? All right. Vice President of Finance and Operations, Brendan, if you would like to take the floor.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. Kind of same thing as most of the other execs. Most of the stuff is in my report, but I will go over a couple highlights. One of the biggest things is we have hired our organizer, special events and promotions coordinator, Nick Murray. So he's going to be helping Sean and myself gather sponsorships as we get close to O-Week. And actually tonight, him and I are going to a dinner, and there's the mayor, the warden, and and about 40 different representatives from 40 small businesses, local businesses will be there as well. So that's a good opportunity just to meet some folks. The Student Food Resource Center, we've opened, extended our hours. So we're also running on Wednesdays now from 7 to 10 p.m. just because there's been some concerns from students that they just aren't available during the daytime. So this just lets students go at night. Other than that, most of the stuff is in my report. I will say we have gotten a lot of emails. I've gotten a lot of emails personally over the past couple of weeks about parking passes and the fee increase. So yeah, as Jack said, Jack and Mary are going to be having a meeting. So hopefully we can get a bit of insight into that. And yeah, other than that, everything else really is in my report. We did the food sustainability Kevin's Corner committee met for the first time last week. So that we kind of went over just sort of what the relocation of the Student Food Resource Center is going to look like as it moves into Bloomfield this fall, and just kind of setting the stage for what that project's going to look like moving forward. Other than that, I think everything else is in my report. But yeah, if anyone has any questions or anything, feel free to email me, text me, get a hold of me somehow, and I'll be free to answer any.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Brendan. I almost called you B-Rob. Sorry.
Okay.
Does anybody have any questions at this time for him? Okay. Vice President of Activities and Events. Kira, if you'd like to take the floor.
Yes, I do. Similar to everybody else, everything's in my report. But what I've been doing, lots of O-Week stuff, lots of meetings with people about events and what we can do, hybrid options, basically just anything that we can do for that week. COCA, which is the Canadian Organization of Campus Activities, our board meetings have started. So I do that every Monday for 7 hours. It's great. Had a meeting about Chinorama. Also just looking at logistics of that. Lots that I've been doing is mostly just like finding out logistics and like what we can and cannot do. Trying to think of anything big we did. Met with Sean Keeley, the new in manager, super cool guy. Also SOC, Student Orientation Committee, has been meeting a lot and going over like schedules and logistics of O-Week. But yeah, mostly just lots of O-Week stuff right now. That's all.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Does anybody have any questions at this time? All right. We're going to move forward with Student Union's General Manager Report. Sean Ryan, if you would like to take the floor.
Hello, everybody. There's people tanning here, so I'm going to keep my camera off. Yeah, no one needs to see that. Yeah, hope everyone's having a good summer. Like Kira just mentioned, we have hired our new bar manager, Sean Kiley, is how you say his last name though. So really a lot of my time has been working with him, trying to help him, get onboarded into the organization, as well as obviously working on the various committees that we have, and trying to take some time off because it's summer and it's going to be September before we know it. Yeah, I don't have much more of an update than that, but if anyone has any questions, happy to give it. I will say we are almost through our audit process for this year. So Julianne has been working closely with our auditors to get that completed. Hopefully we should have some draft audit statements by September, late August. There we go. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sean. Does anybody have any questions for Sean this time? All right, folks. Well, we're going to move on to our next agenda item, which is committee reports, and we don't have any of those. So we're going to start with special reports to council. So the library is going first with our guest, Sandy Iverson. Sandy, would you like me to share my screen, or would you like to pop your presentation up there? Either works. Actually, it has occurred to me, I don't know if she has joined yet. Let me double check.
She's having trouble joining. It's just Melissa.
Her
computer was doing updates, and she was 95% last time she wrote me.
All right. Well, maybe we can get started with a different presentation, and then we can come back to you. Does that sound all right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. The next one we have on the agenda is MyLegal Plan presentation by Gallivan. Would you like me to share my screen?
That's okay, Naomi. Sean is going to be kind of spearheading this presentation, so he can share his screen if that's all right with you. That way he can just click along as he speaks.
Yeah, sounds great.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for inviting us here today. It's lovely to see all of you. Thanks, Drew. Appreciate the love there. So my name is Mary Catherine Jardine. MC is fine as well. And I am your client relations specialist for your Health and Dental International Medical Plan and My Wellness, as well as I support Barb Markovic, who works in the Benefits Plan office on site there at the Students Union office. I'm located in Halifax, so I'm just a hop, skip, and a jump away, and I'm really excited to hear that you'll be welcoming students back again this fall. I'm hoping that means I'll get to make a few trips up to your lovely campus as well in the next academic year. So we were invited here today to give you some information on one of our new services that we are able to provide to students. So as I mentioned, we currently support you with your extended health and dental plan, the international medical plan, and the mental health service, My Wellness. And what we do as your consultants and partners in those things, that we support you in being able to provide these services to your students. So MyLegal Plan is another one of the services that we have developed to support students. I'll be asking my colleague Sean to step in and give you an introduction to this program. We do realize, we have some time constraints here, so we'll go through the information. We'll be happy to take any questions, but of course, if after there's still outstanding questions but we need to move on, we'll be more than happy to get in touch through email or set up another time to connect on it as well. So again, thank you so much for having us here, and I will pass the mic off to Sean, who will run through the information with you.
Awesome. Thanks so much, MC. So as MC mentioned, as I go through the presentation, if there are any questions, I know it's hard for me to see if anyone raises their hand or anything. So maybe MC, you can guide me a little bit, or for anyone that does have any questions, I'll leave periodic breaks after each slide, hopefully, and that'll give you some time to ask away. I'll just carry on. So just as an agenda, who we are and where we're going. access to justice barriers, basically, why did we create this legal protection plan service for students? We'll go through the details of what the service provides for students and what is, in coming in the future. So we are very focused on innovation. I started working on MyLegal Plan well over a year ago. We actually received a number of questions and inquiries from our clients in Ontario, where they had students coming and asking them for support on notary services. So that kind of spawned the development of this expansive legal protection program for students. But as an organization, we're constantly looking to provide the best value and services for your members, whether that's adding financial education to the My Wellness services, providing additional pharmacy network savings. So we're expanding that this year to include Rexall. So you'll have more information on that, in the coming weeks or months. National Vision Savings Program, and then with the understanding that students were unable to visit their care providers, whether that was massage therapists or their dentist, provided we were able to negotiate a significant savings with the insurance provider to give back premium to your organization over a 3-month period during those shutdown periods. So that money, goes back into your reserve and is able to, provide you with savings to look at future developments and enhancements for your members. So, we understand, I don't know if any of you have dealt with any legal issues in your life, but we can understand they are quite difficult for students, and they're quite expensive. For a student that is dealing with tuition costs, with book costs, and just groceries and the ability to buy chicken fingers and beer, the understanding that, seeing a lawyer and having the time constraints and costs to resolve legal issues is quite difficult. So we wanted to create a service that allowed students to feel justice was accessible, that the budget, they didn't have to be concerned about their budgets, and that they could feel comfortable pursuing or asking questions or protecting their rights in a situation where they felt that they were being infringed upon. We know that legal clinics exist, but oftentimes they're overburdened, and we wanted to create a system where students had access to lawyers and a legal network and savings, at their fingertips within a 48-hour period. We know, specifically here where I'm from in Waterloo, Ontario, we have Wilfrid Laurier, we have the University of Waterloo, and constantly in our regional newspapers, we're seeing, articles about landlords kicking students out of their apartments. Specifically over the COVID period, we saw that happen a number of times where the landlords were trying to sell their homes. So these types of issues come up. And again, our goal is to provide a service that allows students to feel justice is accessible. So again, when we were building this, looking at the assessment of needs, we know that not all students will have a great understanding of their rights or of the justice system and how to navigate through it. We know that oftentimes, again, students are susceptible to exploitation. We know that in certain situations, a person in power can make a student feel that their rights aren't necessarily important, or that they're not important, and that access to taking care of their rights or protecting those rights really isn't in their best interests. And we also know that students are less likely to seek legal remedy because of those time constraints, because of those costs. And how does that impact at the end of the day students' mental and physical health? We know how a student's financial health can impact their mental health. But when a student gets into a situation where, again, a landlord is unjustly evicting a student, how does that impact the student's, again, mental and physical health? So we're going to go through MyLegal Plan and what that looks like. And the founding principles of that are that it's strictly student focused. This service was built for students, and it's meant only for students. We wanted to make sure it was easy to access, so students could go onto our MyLegal Plan hub, quickly fill out a legal intake form with their legal issue, and access a lawyer, again, on a network within their regional area within 48 hours. We also wanted to ensure that there was an unconditional opt-out. Some of you may have opted out of our health plan and often may have coverage in place either through an employer already or through your parents. Through the MyLegal Plan, none of that is required. If a student does not want the service, they can just go and opt out. So again, it's meant to be accessible for those that believe that they may need it. And for those that don't, they can get a full refund and opt out for the service. And lastly, available to all students, domestic students, students that are from Ontario but are living in Nova Scotia, students, international students, again, being able to support all students from all walks of life in dealing with all different issues, throughout their life. So what is MyLegal Plan? There's a 24/7 legal hotline. Students have unlimited access to this hotline. Students have the ability to speak to experienced and qualified lawyers about their specific legal issue. They might just be looking for general information about their rights. They're able to call the hotline about that. In situations where a student requires, has a specific issue to them, they're able to speak to a lawyer about that issue, and 90% of those issues will actually be handled or solved over the phone. In the case where a student requires the need to meet with the lawyer in person, again, our legal network is made up of 3,000 lawyers across Canada. So wherever a student may be, whether, again, they're in Nova Scotia or they're in Vancouver, and they call into the hotline and they need to speak to a lawyer in person, they can do that, again, from anywhere in Canada. And that lawyer on that network is able to help the student as they pursue their legal issue, whether that requires just a letter of complaint to go out, or that requires a student to go to some sort of tribunal or court. They can do that with that lawyer on the network. Each lawyer on the network has to have and does have 5 years minimum of experience practicing law. They are all in good standing with all of the bar associations and all of the regulators. Again, we want students to feel that, okay, I'm dealing with a problem. I don't think this is how I should be feeling, or this is how I should be treated, or I'm dealing with the family issue, whatever it might be. They can go onto the MyLegal Plan hub, explain their issue, speak to a lawyer, and then if further action is required, again, that's just a flick of the switch, and they're able to go and meet a lawyer, pretty quickly. And then in addition to that, on the MyLegal Plan hub, there's access to hundreds of dynamic and customizable legal documents. Again, this is an additional aspect to the service. For those of you that may have had to run up legal documents in the past, they can be quite expensive. So the ability to start that process, the ability for a student to start that process right off the bat and then bring that to a lawyer, it's just a great additional resource for students. So in terms of what's covered, we're speaking specifically to civil law for MyLegal Plan. So this is very general, but these are kind of a list of items that we've put together that we feel and we've seen students access the service for the most. So again, we talk about landlord and tenant issues, immigration issues for international students. So there has been cases where an international student may have overstayed their visa, and we've been able to support students with lawyers in those cases when they need to go to a tribunal, notary services, human rights, mediation, academic. So if a student is being accused of plagiarism, the student has the ability to work with a lawyer to, represent them or support them when they need to go to a tribunal in that case. Employment, personal injury, and family law. So those that have families and there might be a separation or a custody situation, we've seen students access this service for all of these different types of areas. And again, this is just a very simple list that we put together. But when we talk about civil law, we're talking about a quite expansive area of law. So students, again, we do not want to limit the service for what students can or cannot do. But again, we're speaking specifically to civil law. And I'll just kind of say it now, criminal law is not an aspect of this service where students can use the MyLegal Plan to support them. It's only civil law. So how does the program work? So in addition to that legal plan hotline, and in addition to the online legal library, students also have access to $1,500 per incident of coverage for any legal issues. So that means if a student has a landlord-tenant issue that starts in October, they meet with a lawyer. They have a 30-minute free 30-minute consultation with that lawyer to discuss their legal issue, to see, discuss the fees, discuss if this partnership will work. Once the student and the lawyer agree to work together, we release $1,500 to the lawyer. So it's essentially like a retainer. The student is not out of pocket any of those expenses. And let's say, again, we release the fees October 1st. The student from October 1st has 12 months from that date, from the date that the funds are released, to resolve their legal issue and use up all of that coverage. So it's not necessarily the funds aren't tied to the student's academic year. It's tied to when the issue actually comes up. So again, a student may have an issue, again, October, housing and landlord, and then in May, they have a collections issue with their cell phone bill. And May 1st, that issue comes up, they have an additional $1,500 to deal with that specific legal issue. So ultimately, a student could have 5 legal issues in a year, and for each of those 5 legal issues, they have $1,500 to work with a lawyer to resolve those specific issues. And again, the date that the funds are released, the student has 12 months from that date to use the entire coverage. In the situation where there's a 4th-year student and they have a legal issue on August 1st, they still, we release the funds on August 1st, the student still has that full 12 months beyond their graduation to use the coverage that's in place. In addition to that, when the lawyer and the student meet, the legal network does provide discounts up to 25% off their fees. So the lawyer and the student will be able to discuss those discounts right off the bat. This chart to the left is really meant to be a representation of what the coverage can do alongside the discount. So let's say, again, a lawyer's legal fees are $225 an hour, and they get a 25% discount on the legal fees, and that costs the student the net hourly rate is just under $169. That technically means the student has 9 hours of time with that lawyer to resolve that legal issue. Now, let's say in the situation a student uses all of their $1,500 of coverage within a given year for one specific legal issue, but the legal issue is still not resolved. That lawyer and that student are still working together. That relationship doesn't end. The student still has access to the MyLegal Plan Hub, and the student still has access to the discounts going forward. So again, they can use all the coverage the partnership's still in place. The student may have to pay, may want to pay out-of-pocket expenses at that point. But again, we're fairly confident that this will get students at least, comfortable with understanding their rights and feeling that access to justice, access to, a support system is there for them. So general questions through the hotline, there's a variety of contacts to the call center. Again, we've seen family law, collections, immigration, wills and estates, landlord, tenant. And, this is coverage that, again, I keep on saying it, but it's access to justice. We know that not every student is going to run into a legal issue each year. But we also know that, not every student is going to have a back issue each year, but we still provide them with, access to St. FX alongside us. We still provide them access to benefits and care when they need it. So this situation is really meant to protect students when those legal issues come up, when they need a notary service, when they need, you may have an older student that wants to complete a will, access to do that with a lawyer, with a discount and coverage in place to get them on their way to that. So in terms of just next steps, what we'd like to do is, hopefully create a working group with St. FX amongst the executives to look to plan hopefully a referendum in spring 2022. Let the students decide if that they feel this is something that they'd like to pursue. We've also done surveys where we've asked students beforehand if they feel that a legal protection program is, something that would be in their best interest or something they'd like. And we can tell you we've never lost a referendum. We did 2 referendums this past year, one at MacEwan University, so the Students Association in MacEwan University, as well as Norquest College. Both are in Edmonton. Very strong results, as you can see, 77% and 91% students voted that they wanted a legal protection program. And the cost of this service is $18 plus tax. So for St. FX, that would be $20.70 per student per year. And our goal, again, at the end of this is first and foremost to answer any questions, to see if this is something your organization would be interested in pursuing for your students, and then hopefully creating a working group to establish goals and a plan to both market a referendum to your students, maybe do a survey, and help promote this to your students if this is something that they'd be interested in, and ultimately the students decide if it's something they'd like to have. So I'll leave it there. I didn't really leave much room for questions. If there are any questions right now, as MC said, feel free to ask away. Questions this presentation. So if questions come up later, feel free to reach out to Mary Catherine and we'll coordinate on getting answers to any of those questions.
It looks like we do have a few questions.
Sure.
Is it okay if I just start calling on people, Naomi?
Yes, for sure.
Oh, great, thank you. Benjamin, Ben.
Thanks, MC. I just had a question. Firstly, just about the estimated hourly rate for the lawyers within the system. So I know you guys said it was like about $225, and then a discounted rate every single time. But I was wondering what the maximum hourly rate of lawyers in the system would be, because that would probably cut into how much students can afford.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, through the network, it is kind of specific to the type of specialized lawyer for this student specific. It can be from $225 to $500. Now, the student will never, the lawyer and the student will, the action or the lawyer will not start working on behalf of the student without those discussions happening in the first place. So those fees, they have a free 30-minute consultation with the lawyer. All of those fees are disclosed. The coverage that the lawyer is provided with, so again, it's like a retainer. Those fees are disclosed, and the students also have access to the understanding that once there is a limit to that coverage that's available per legal issue, and we're able to track that alongside the lawyer, so the student is aware that, okay, my coverage is run out, lawyer, and what's the next step from there? So again, you're right, the fees can be varied, but what we've heard is it's $225 to $500 per hour.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thanks, Ben. Meredith.
Hi, thanks for your presentation. I was just wondering if there's a minimum amount of students that need to opt into the plan.
Sorry, what was your question? I missed that.
Sorry, I was just wondering if there was a minimum amount of students that need to opt in.
No.
Okay.
No. So again, we want to, when we've done the referendums, we explain in the referendum question that this is an unconditional opt-out. So it's really meant to be there for those that feel that they may need it, or they may be already dealing with something and say, yeah, I need this. So no, there's no minimum number of students.
Thank you.
Thanks, Meredith. And Brendan.
Hey, yeah, thank you for the presentation. That was awesome. I had a question just about, so you said it's unconditional opt-out. What about opt-in? Like, so do students have to be on the health and dental plan to opt in, or can students opt in to this separately?
So what we've done it kind of a few different ways. So this past year we had some organizations bring it in, pay for it on behalf of the students as a trial year, and we essentially attached it as a additional benefit to the health plan. So that was the best way to do it. So in that case, when students opted out of the health plan, they were automatically opted out of the legal plan. So we did that. But then all of those schools, or the majority, so for Norquest, for example, ask the questions, and that opt-out is available. Now, for the opt-in, an insurance program, we don't want it to be a situation where those students who are opting in are only accessing it right in the middle of coverage. So they've opted out and then they get a legal issue and then they opt in, because that drives the costs up on behalf of your members. So the opt-out is unconditional. The opt-in is, we do not have an opt-in for this service because it is a pooled benefit. So we spread at such low costs, and we can add those per incident coverages. We can add those discounts because we're spreading the risk of big, those large expenses, big legal issues coming up amongst the entire group. So that's why we're able to get those costs down. But the opt-in, there's no opt-in, but opt-out anytime, anyone. So don't need to be a part of the health plan. You can just be, a part-time, whatever it might be. You can be any student that you have access to.
Okay, but so just for clarification, like you can't opt in even at the beginning of the year, just as like right up front, you can't do that.
No, what we'll do is we work with you to decide, who's eligible. So who's eligible for the MyLegal Plan service? It can be, all your members, right? Anyone that fits in the category of your membership, we can make. But yeah, the opt-in is, we do not have an opt-in.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
And I saw some questions, and the cost is $18 plus tax. So that's $20.70 per year per student.
I'm just putting that in the chat as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
No problem. Great questions, everyone. Really good questions. Means you're listening.
And I'll kind of say one last thing. You know, a student might be, you know, in a situation or in a specific might
Sean,
not want to
sorry,
go in the
you're
city.
cutting out there.
We coordinate with our legal providers that, you know, we partner on with this service. Oh, can you hear me?
Now that's better. Just the first part of that we didn't get to hear.
Oh, okay. So last thing is, we know that some lawyers may not be accessible in certain towns or cities that a student might be in. We work with the legal network to ensure the lawyers will either travel to the student, or we will set up virtual meetings with the lawyer and the student, so that again, the student has access to that lawyer, that specialized lawyer that's able to support them. So again, no, we don't want. We're trying to break down all barriers to getting, you know, access to support and care. So.
Thanks, Brendan. Were there any other questions? I don't see any hands raised, but I'll just open the floor one last time before we hand it back over to your chair. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for, again, inviting us to speak on the service. You know, again, if you have any questions, I'll put my email here in the chat, so feel free to reach out to me, or, you know, reach out to Sean. He has my email as well, Sean Ryan. So many Seans. And yeah, so thank you so much. If you, again, any questions, or if you have, you know, any interest in kind of talking about, you know, working group or referendum, what does that mean? What can we do to support you through this? Again, that's why we're here. We're here to support you. So we look forward to hearing from you again. I look forward to hopefully meeting all of you in person this year when I come to visit. I'm really excited for that. So enjoy the rest of your meeting, enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and have a great day, everyone.
Awesome.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, thank you for coming. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to come chat with us. Yeah. All right, folks. I think we're going to pop into our next presentation, which is going to be the library presentation. Would you folks like me to share the screen, or?
Yes, please. I do have a presentation to share. And hi, everybody. I'm Sandy Iverson. I'm the university librarian. My apologies for my technical issues. I really should have started an hour earlier getting set up, apparently. Hang on just a second and see if I can get my presentation loaded.
Can you folks see it on my end? The presentation?
Oh, there it is.
There we go. Okay. So is that looking normal for everybody?
Yep, it's perfect.
Okay, great. So what I really wanted to talk to you today about was basically the library strategic plan, but I hopefully there will be time for you to provide me with any kind of feedback you want about the library. So this is very much a draft sort of plan. It's in a constant state of flux. We're after every consultation and committee meeting that we have, it gets tweaked and modified. So just to go over very briefly sort of the background here. So in the fall of 2020, I was tasked with starting the strategic plan. We took a look at a lot of literature. We took a look at a lot of documents that already existed. So there was a self-study of the library as well as an external review of the library that had been conducted in 2015. There was also surveys of faculty and students that had been conducted in 2019. So we looked at all of that data and we decided that we didn't need to, you know, often with a strat plan, you start with a survey and a environmental review. And we decided that we could forego that because a lot of work had already been done. So we struck a small committee. There, usually the Student Union VP Academic has been sitting on it, but this year it's going to be another one of you, and I'm sorry, but I've forgotten who that is. But we're looking forward to working together. And there's 2 faculty members as well as a dean and some students, or sorry, some staff members from the library. So the 2015 external review provided a number of recommendations for library improvements. Many of those recommendations basically hinged on the hiring of a university librarian, and that didn't happen until I joined in the fall of 2019. So a lot of what was recommended by the external review in 2015 is still kind of pending or in process. But it really did, it did fall into 3 enhancements to the physical infrastructure. As we know, our library physical infrastructure is dated and in need of updating. Improvements to internal and external communications, which is ongoing, and obviously coming to meet with you today as part of that is, an ongoing consultation with both students, staff, faculty, the entire university, and then also improved planning process. In 2019, the self-study, which was this part of that was the survey of both students and faculty, and there's additional sort of information that we got from that, and I'm going to go over some of those. So the faculty survey had 53 respondents. And I'm not gonna read all of these. You would have gotten a copy of this, I believe, ahead of time, or you can, you will get it after if you haven't already gotten it. So but basically, faculty were mostly satisfied with the level of collections and services that they got. Most respondents recorded being very satisfied or somewhat satisfied. Their satisfaction level with the facilities, so the building, signage, study rooms, etc., was a little bit lower than that. So it was with more respondents recording not satisfied or only somewhat satisfied. So the general qualitative comments that faculty commented on usually what they use that opportunity to indicate a relatively high dissatisfaction with collections, facilities, and staffing levels. So that's what faculty believed in 2019, and I have no reason to doubt that they still feel like our collection is not sufficient, that the facilities are not sufficient, and that we don't have enough librarians primarily in the library. The student survey, now it's kind of important to remember that a survey only shows you basically what you ask. So these surveys primarily ask people, do you use the services and the collection of the library? What do you use it for? When do you use it? How do you use it? That kind of thing. So 553 students did complete the survey, which isn't a bad percentage. And most of the respondents are regular visitors to the library. And slightly over 50% visited the library at least 6 times a month. So these are frequent users of the library. Some interesting things that they said was that only 40% said that they had ever had a librarian visit their class and give a presentation in their class. But of those 41%, 91% found that presentation really, really helpful. So we're going to be trying to get into more classes with the cooperation of faculty. Again, the qualitative comments that we received from students also indicated that they were dissatisfied with the state of the building. They commented a lot on the furniture, on the environment. It's too hot, it's too cold, there's not enough power access, it's not very clean, sometimes it's outdated, it's not very comfortable, the lighting is bad, it should be open longer hours, and signage is lousy, you can't find your way around the place. So those are some of the qualitative comments that people that those people gave us. So that's some of the data that we know already. And so this is our timeline for the strategic planning process. So we are currently in the consultation, the iterative process phase. So we expect that to be going on till October. So in the fall, we will be organizing some sort of town hall types of events, both for students and for faculties and staff. to get even more input into this. But one of the first sort of little consultation exercises that we did was after we reviewed all the literature and explored some of our comparator institutions. So, so the Maple League University libraries, as well as some other libraries of universities approximately our size, resulted in this list of 15 possible services that a library could offer. Some libraries do offer these, some of these we already offer, some of them we don't. So these are 15 sort of ideas. We took those 15 ideas and we created a .democracy board. And we did this in April. So this is a very manual activity. It was up in the library during exam period. But of course, last year was a very quiet year in the library, but we still did engage quite a few students in this exercise. So students, when they came into the library and they had to check in at the desk, as you may know this year, they were given 5 dots, and then they could go to the democracy board and they could use their dots to vote for the categories of services or projects that they thought they would like to see in the library. Faculty and library staff also participated, but they have different colored dots. So the red dots are student dots. So you can tell that the vast majority of people who participated were students. So we did have 154 people participating, and you can see that the top 3 have to do with spaces. The number one thing people would like to see our library have is a cafe. Then they want to see private study rooms, study halls, and then we get into collections. And so we know that students put extra emphasis on the space because they want to come to the library and they want to use the space. But we also know that they do use the collection, particularly the electronic collection, and they do value the collection. It's because the electronic journals and books was 4th on the list, and then a variety of other things sort of go down. Unfortunately for us, but this is just one exercise, providing instruction on research and library, like how to use library resources, was actually really not seen as a priority at all, which is contrary in a way to what the students said in the 2019 study, when they said that when the 40% who had ever received any kind of instruction in their classes from a librarian, 91% found it extremely valuable. So I think this is just a case of not knowing what you don't know, so not being able to value it. But it does, for me, it tells me we need to get faculty buy-in and we need to get into your classes in the first year or second year at the latest, so that all students are sort of, you know, get a running start, if you will, on library research skills. I know anecdotally that a lot of students, they do things and they find things, but the way that they do it, like they go to Google and they just randomly find tools and resources, it's such a huge waste of time. Like if more students had really good library research skills, they would save an enormous amounts of time, but they don't know that, and people don't know what they don't know. So meanwhile, in tandem with doing all of this kind of research and consultation, the library staff are working on library mission, vision, and values. Just trying to, because our plan really has to come out of that, at least, to a large extent. So these are some of the things that the library staff value about the library and what we see as the value that the library brings to the community. So we have a very high level of like service orientation. So a lot of talk of being user-centered or student-centered, that kind of thing, community-minded, a lot of adjectives around helping or collaborating or being welcoming, providing access, those kinds of things. So the emerging priorities so far are kind of falling into 4 categories. So one is our physical infrastructure. So that's like our building. That's like furniture in our building, better electronic electricity so that we can have more power to more spaces for people. Obviously decorating, modernizing the facility in general, all of that kind of thing. Second would be sort of similar to that, technological infrastructure and the staff to support it. So technological infrastructure would be like a more functional website, a more functional library catalog. I have that asterisk, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Things like single sign-on, making it easier to access stuff, more digitization, possibly like a creative tools lab with like a makerspace or a VR, AR lab, 3D printing, those kinds of sort of technological infrastructure, which you have to have staff to support that. You can't just have that tech stuff without the people to help students use it. Third would be to the perception on campus as relevant, to try to improve the perception of the library as a relevant thing. So that's things like communications, outreach, and engagement. So that's a whole area that's an emerging priority. And then fourth would be succession planning and staff development. So having the right staff in the right roles to support this new kind of vision for the library. So the asterisk around the catalog is that our current, as you may or may not know, NovaNet is a consortium of all the academic libraries in Nova Scotia, and we are a member, and it's a shared catalog. So when you go into our catalog, you can see not only what we have at St. FX, you can also see what's at all the other university libraries. There's a great advantage to that. There's also a lot of confusion that comes with that. But it also limits us in terms of like what we can do to make the catalog more user-friendly. However, I will say that NovaNet is going through a migration to a new version of the catalog this year. So by this time next year, we will have that new catalog in place. From your point of view, it won't look that much differently, but we do hope that it will function better and will be less frustrating. We shall see. So two sort of possible ways to look at where to go is two different strategic directions. So one is to engage and the other is to transform. So these are just draft statements that might end up being in a final plan. These are very broad statements of sort of direction statements and what we will become. So we will be an active collaborator and connector to enhance the learning, teaching, and research activities of the university and contribute to the life and history of the community of Antigonish. And the other is transform. So the library will transform and modernize its physical and digital spaces and services to become the core hub for academic life on campus. We will be seen not only as a keeper and preserver of knowledge, but also as a prime location for creative knowledge production. So these are almost like vision statements in a way. Again, this is all a state of flux, so these are all draft. And then under strategic direction number one, the engage, we have a number of goals, and then we have a variety of kinds of projects that might fall within those goals. And some of the possible projects that might ultimately fall within something like this would be an institutional research data management strategy, which is probably of more interest to graduate students and faculty, people who are heavily involved in research, than it might be to undergrads, but it's an important part of any university endeavor. So that would include increased content in St. FX Scholar, promote the Atlantic Region Open Textbooks Project. So that's an OER project, which I know is very near and dear to all of your hearts. Launch a makerspace pilot project. I mean, I'm not going to read all of these. You can look at them in your package. These are all sort of possibilities that might support that particular direction. So then the second strategic direction, the transformation part, has two different goals. This is a slightly smaller list of goals, but bigger goals. So one would be to redevelop the library's physical infrastructure to appropriately meet the needs of the 21st century university. And number two would be the library's digital infrastructure. And possible projects to support this direction would be really to establish a library vision committee that would begin work on the fundraising and creation of a new library and archives. Whether that's a renovation or a new construction would kind of be up to, you know, architects and engineers and that kind of thing. The advantage of a renovation is we are physically located in a really, really good place on campus. And by renovating that, we get to stay in that central place. And we get to possibly maintain some of the historical elements of the building, which it would be kind of cool. However, there are also limitations to renovation insofar as you have to live in it while it's being renovated, and it can take a lot longer. And we don't really know whether the status of the entire building is renovatable. A new construction is obviously, you know, where would we put that new construction? And, you know, it has a lot of other, anyway, getting way ahead of ourselves, because that's probably, you know, if we're lucky, 10 years out, and all of you will be doing much more exciting things by then. But it needs to happen, and it needs to, you know, steps need to be taken to get that to happen. So in the meantime, we can implement basic refresh projects to brighten our current physical environment and provide more student-friendly spaces. We can undertake a library website review, and etc. So there's possible projects to support that direction. So I'm gonna, yeah, so that's really the plan that we're thinking about. And I'm really interested to know what you think should be our priorities. And I know I went through that like at high speed, but and I can go back to some of those other lists of priorities if you would like that. And Naomi, do you want me to call on people, or do you want to call on people who have their hands up?
If you're comfortable, totally feel free to call upon people, but if you would like me to, I can do so.
I can, but if I miss somebody, let me know. Right now, I see Sophia's hand up.
All right, yeah, I'll keep you.
Sophia, go ahead.
Hi, I actually just had something to consider about the cafe idea. I think a cafe would be great, but I wonder if it would be more effective if it was like a cafe cart or something that could be wheeled around parts of the library, so students could like have access while they're still in their study space, so that they don't have to leave that zone in order to have access to like water and coffee and stuff like that. So it's just a thought.
That's an interesting idea. I don't know that I've ever seen that. That's I'm gonna look into that and see what the pros and cons and all of that would be of that. Thank you for that. Anybody else have any ideas about what you think the priorities for the library should be? What direction should we go in? What would you like to see changed in the short term and in the long term? Meredith.
The biggest thing that comes to mind right now is just like the availability of space at the library, especially during exams. And you also mentioned lighting, which is another big one that I hear people talking about a lot.
So what was the first one that you said?
Just availability of study space, because like sometimes during exams you'll go and it's really hard to find a seat.
Ah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, one of the things we're going to experiment with it this year, you know, like I know if you used the library last year, you know, because of COVID, you had to book a space in the library. Now, some people really hated that because they had to think ahead and, you know, blah, blah, blah. But some people actually really liked it because they could book a space and be confident that they would get the space. So we are going to experiment with having a few spaces that are bookable for those people who like to book it. And if that is popular, we might make more of those bookable spaces available during exams. But we'll see how that goes, because I know it does get kind of busy. But that's the plan right now. Extended hours. Extended hours is always asked for, but the problem is that when you have extended hours, like when we've had them, I don't think we've ever had them really late, but when we've had extended hours, the number of people who actually take advantage of those do not justify the costs. And while those people who would like it would greatly benefit from it, if you've only got 5 students who are there from 11 p.m. until 2 a.m., that it's not economically viable. However, what I would advocate for in the long term, the short term, I can't do very much about it, but in the long term, what I would advocate for if I was around to help plan a new library, is I would advocate for a library that puts all the book stacks and other materials into spaces that can be locked, and that the vast majority of the study spaces are 24/7 with security badge access, so that students can access it like any other building 24/7. So that would be the ideal in terms of, in my mind, in terms of getting student access to study space, which is really what they want with extended hours. They don't generally want services after 11 p.m. They want a space to go and study in. So Brendan, yes, you have a question.
I think Sophia had her hand up first. If she wants
okay, I'm sorry. Sophia, you go ahead.
Sorry, I'm trying to get my mic unmuted here. One of the things about if we're still having a booking system, which I was 50-50 on, I did like it because I knew I had a spot at the library, but sometimes it's like the mind games of like, oh, do I actually want to book? Like, anyways, but one of the things that was the hardest part for me about booking in at the library was not having a map of like what exactly I'm booking. Because the names were like, I really like they leaned into a lot of the Harry Potter theme of the library, which is cool. But sometimes I got confused and was like unaware of exactly where I was booking. So having a little like map maybe online with the names that are in the booking system would be really nice.
Great. We'll make a note of that. I think there was a plan for that at one point, so we'll go back and revisit that. Okay, Brendan, I think it's your turn now.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, I just had a kind of question comment just about the booking. One thing I kind of found this past year with the booking was a lot of students, just because you had to book, a lot of students wouldn't know the exact time they wanted to go to the library, how long they wanted to stay. So like a lot of students would just book for 4 hours or whatever. And sometimes they'd use it and sometimes they wouldn't. And that was one of the things I found with the booking system was just inconsistency, I guess, in students actually using it or not, because sometimes there are students who need it for, like, I've gone in and I literally stay there and grind out for 4 hours. But then there are times, you know, where you just book an extra amount of time and then don't end up using it just because whatever. So that was just kind of one, I guess, kind of note I made during this year, just with the booking system.
Yeah. And like I said, this year it won't. The vast majority of the library will be open. It will not be booked spaces. It will be first come, first served spaces. But we will reserve just a small number. All of the study rooms will, of course, be booked. They always were, and they will continue to be booked. But there will also be some specific spaces that will be. I think it's the 4th floor that we've decided we're going to have as bookable space. So we'll experiment with it and see how it works.
No,
yeah, it's tricky, but we'll figure it out. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Is there any general feedback on sort of the direction of where the strategic plan is going? Does that seem like, are we missing something? Anything that you can see that we're missing that you'd like to see there? Well, that's good. Okay. Is there anything that you think that's on that list that you're like, what the heck would you do that for? Okay, good. Hi, Sophia.
Sorry, I was actually wondering if you could clarify what you guys mean when you say maker spaces, because I've been to a couple and they're always different. So I just wondered if you had any clarification on that.
We've started having some conversations both internally at the library and also with some faculty members who might be interested in this. And you're right, they can vary, and they can be highly technical, or they can be like arts and crafts. and everything in between. And what, you know, if we develop such a space, what exactly would go into it remains to be seen. It would seem like, I don't think I've ever seen a makerspace, not even the one at our local Antigonish Public Library, that didn't have a 3D printer. So that's kind of like one of the sort of like core things that seems to be in a makerspace quite often. But basically the objective of a makerspace is to create a space where people can use various things, whether it's 3D printers or a sewing machine and cardboard and paper, to create three-dimensional models of ideas that they are like prototypes that they're working on in classroom settings, right? So, and there's all kind, it's not just sciences, the arts do this as well, and that kind of thing. So, so I think if we do a 3D a makerspace, it will have some tech aspects, but it will also have a lot of more arts aspects. So I think it would have, it might also have a lending aspect to it. So it might have things, it might have like sewing machine that you can borrow or use that there, or it might have, you know, tools that you can borrow or use on site for various reasons. So it might be sort of a combination. So yeah, it really remains to be seen. Yeah.
Awesome. I love that idea.
Right. Hi, Tiffany. I see your hand is up.
Hi. So I know that Mayor mentioned like the lighting earlier, and what I thought was a really cool idea was like light therapy. So I know that there's like, I think in the library, like just on Main, they have like lights that mimic like the sunlight, and especially in like the winter. So I think it also like helps with like depression, and it's just like really good to like work in. So maybe that would be a good idea to incorporate.
I'll check with them to see what, do you mean that they have them on in the library, or that they have them to loan out to people?
No, they have them on like in the library. So while people are studying, they could just have that on there.
I'll check and see. I will check and see, and I'll find out what the options are. The lighting in the library drives me crazy, because it was it was changed up a few years ago in order to be environmentally friendly. So it goes off, but the sensors, so like all the lights are motion sensors, but the sensors have not been set very well, and so they don't work very well. I'm limited in my ability to add any more because of the electrical infrastructure of the building. Our breakers blow if we add things, and our breakers go frequently in the winter because it's cold and we have to have heaters and other things. So while we will continue to try to figure out some of the lighting issues, it's FM, it's facilities management that does that. All I can do is kind of let them know and ask them, could you please deal with this? But it's definitely a problem, and I'm going to continue to have conversation with them. And Brendan has his hand up, and maybe you have something you can say about that and how to get FM to do things.
Well, yeah, no, one thing I was kind of wondering, I guess, was like, would it be possible to have, like, are the sensors just on like the timers? You're just saying the timers are just too short?
No, it's they're in some cases they're not angled properly, so they don't detect you until you are like past them, and they're just not.
Yeah.
I don't really know. Like, I know for sure that the way they're angled is a problem, but I know that there are some that are just not working, because I can go and jump up and down and wave around to my all I want, and they just don't go on. you know, we have put in requests to have that investigated and explored, and we will continue to do so. That's all I can tell you. Yeah. And I will, you know, I will be even more encouraged to do so because of what I have heard here today. So I see a hand up. Can't see who it is.
It's me.
Okay,
Sorry. Yeah. Just for the cafe thing, I just wanted to say it would be great to have you know, coffee machine and stuff for to open for the whole hours of library, because I know for example Moroni had its cafe but closes at 5, so it doesn't make sense to, you know, stay in Moroni for let's say cafe purposes on that. So just wanted to say that, because otherwise it doesn't really benefit students for study times, because classes are usually finished at 5, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, one of our, it's really common these days for cafes to be in academic libraries, and you know, one of the reasons is because people are in their work zone, they're in their study zone, they don't want to get up and leave the building, and we know from our, we know anecdotally from our staff who work the front desk, we know that students studying there, especially in the evening, the only reason they do leave is to go and get something to eat or something to drink. So, so in the long term, I think that there should be a full-on cafe that's open long hours in the library. In the short term, we're looking at some options for not necessarily a full-on cafe, but like a more of a self-serve kind of facility. Like one of the problems with putting in a cafe is you need access to water, and so we don't have a lot of water lines and we have a lot of water leaking issues. So there's a lot of problems with it. But so one of the possibilities in the short term is that we could have a space where there was a microwave, maybe there was a coffee machine, and sort of or a hot water thing where you could make your own coffee. I don't know, like we're exploring some options. I kind of want to explore this this cart idea. But anyway, we'll see what happens. Hunter, you have a comment or a question?
Yeah, I love the cafe ideas, the cart and the self-serve, but if we're just throwing out crazy ideas, I know a lot of people do like Starbucks, especially where it's so close. And if it was something that was going to have to be staffed like a cart, you could always look into some sort of delivery service arrangement with Starbucks, something where you could order on your phone. But that's just a random idea I thought of. It might not work, but
I will, I mean, before we do any of this, obviously I have to work with the Director of Ancillary Services on campus, because they're responsible for all food services. And I have to make sure that, you know, anything that we do, we're not like, you know, in contravention of our contracts with Sodexo, etc. But that's something that I could float with them for sure. Oh, yeah. Cute. All right, if there aren't any more comments or questions, I'm gonna put my slide up again, because I would just like to, let's see, just like to remind you, I should have put my email address here, but you can find me. So email me if you have any comments or any suggestions about where the library should go, what you would like to see in the library, both in the short and the long term. I also want to remind you that, you know, our website, it does need an overhaul, but it is great. It does have everything there. You just have to spend some time looking through it. One of our students, or at least one of our students who's working with us this summer, said, I think I gave them the job of going over the whole website to look for certain things, and they were like, wow, I had no idea all this was there. But you can also subscribe to our blog. I don't post a lot, but about once or twice a month, and some of it is interesting. And follow us on social media. I'm constantly surprised how many students don't know about things. And we do, like, they didn't know we were open last year, like things, just basic things. And so we are really encouraged. We do try to make all of our announcements on social media, all of our blog posts, we announce them on social media. So and so I really encourage people to follow us on social media and keep in touch. And I thank you a lot for letting me be here. And stop presenting. Again, my apologies for having technical issues and being late. And Willis and I will go now so you can finish your meeting.
All right, thank you so much for coming in today, Sandy. It was so nice to have your little presentation. Really exciting stuff. Thank you.
All right, thanks a lot. Bye now.
Bye.
All right, bye, thank you. Okay, folks, I think in the interest of time for our guests, I'm going to actually ask that Anamika go next before our little internal presentations. Anamika, how are you doing? Do you need me to share the screen or are you good?
Hi, I'm good. I can share my own screen.
Awesome. All right, feel free to get started.
Yeah, just a second. Hi everyone, welcome to the Food Resource Center website. My name is Anamika Saxena. I'm just graduated from Masters in Applied Computer Science on Scientifics. We already had a proud movement when Student Union established SFRC for STFX students, and it aimed to provide the students with appropriate resources to manage a sufficient and healthy diet. And as we promised, to be more proud to become a first online platform in Atlantic Canada. We worked for 3 issues basically. On the SFRC accessibility. Students are not fully aware when food products arrive, and as a result, students are unable to take full advantage of SFRC services, and best before date is not known. As a result, food products go to waste most of the time. And with the COVID crisis and social isolation, there was an urgent need for an online platform to ensure food safety and security to the scientific students. So my idea was about the food distribution website to make SFRC more accessible to the students and balance food waste and hunger. This website helps STFX students for assessing fresh food, nutritious food, and healthy food. So through the website, we have worked to manage our 3 feasibility accessibility goals on how easy to use and maintain inventory, readily implemented and engaged website. And this website you can use for 5 years and then needs a little bit of maintenance cost. So we got our name from the website. This is the perfect name that I got, like stfx-sfrc.com. And this is the front page of the website. You can, when you just go and click the link, you can go to the front page. Through the categories, you can search for various food categories: fruits and vegetables, frozen fruits, canned goods, snacks, pasta, coffee, and tea. There are more categories down there. So for now, let's visit the website before continuing the presentation. Just a second. Internet is not working properly, but yep. So this is the website. This is the URL of the website. When you go there, you can see the logo of the SFRC and Food Resource Center. These are the categories you can easily visit without even logging it. Suppose if you want to go through the frozen foods, you can just go and search, look into their expiry date, their quantities, and what items we have on our menu. You can even go to the coffee and tea, like what quantities we have, what kind of coffees, what kind of products we have in our store. You really don't need to go to the SFRC center right now. And these are the donors list. When any student from any house donated the food, that particular house get some points that will encourage student donations if possible. These are our operating hours. We can change it anytime. I know there was some change in the operating hours. These are the student testimonial. We are still working on the testimonials, and if it would be really great if someone can volunteer their testimonial along with their photo. And if someone wants to contact us directly with their queries or any message, they can just directly type their name, email, phone number, and then send it. You can visit directly here through the Facebook, Twitter, and Insta account directly from these links. And apart from that, talking about this website has two things. You can visit through the categories if you really don't want to log in, but if you want to log in, you just need to click here. And this is a volunteer page. Basically, student can able to create their account by logging here. I just put like my name, like volunteer@gmail.com. So it just, you can log in over here. You can also explore food items by your login website. You got the same result. Apart from that, you can donate your unwanted food from here. You can just click here. You can add your product by just sitting at your home space. You really don't need to go to the SFRC to just donate it. You can go there, you can select a product over there. Suppose you can select smooth, you can select the quantities 3, you can select the maybe manufacturing date and expiry date, and you can submit it. As long as you submit it from here, this particular request go to the SFRC volunteer website. They can go to the donation, they can approve your donations from here. So just click on there and accept it. Once your donation is got approved, you got a link that your donation got approved, and you can go and submit your products over there. So this is basically you can do at your own space by going there. Now coming to our presentation. Yes. So right now, the goals we have achieved through this website is students are more informed about available foods products. Students are able to see manufacturing and expiry date of the products. It increases and changes the ways of donation, as we just saw, and it gives SFRC points to increase the donation with the houses. And if the person wants to donate in person, if doesn't belong to any houses, that is also included in the website. So now we have a fresh inventory of food resources. What set us apart during developing the website is the participants, target audience, beneficiaries, and the platform itself. So with the help of volunteer, we're still going to create our goals for inventory management, expiry date, and everything. And from the Student Union Fund, we are able to make SFRC more accessible. It works as a helpful tool, and that was the first online food resource center in Atlantic Canada. We are like so proud to say that our mission has been already achieved. Now we still continue to work towards it. And yes, the mission of the Eat Well and Feel Good Physically has been achieved. Thank you so much. If you guys have any question, any queries, you can just ask me. Is anybody there?
Yeah, sorry. I think Brendan is just having some technical difficulties.
Okay.
Said he'd like to ask some questions.
Yeah. Hi. Yeah. I just had a couple questions. So first, with the website, because so you know how you said that the domain is secured for 5 years. Is it possible to get the, I guess, ownership of the domain shared with our marketing department, just that we have access to be able to update it?
Yeah, sure. I can give this. I can just give so I need to talk with the marketing department for that, what exactly they need basically for the domain name. And it is good for 5 years because I projected for the 5 years thing. And with the domain name, we have to pay the amount. And I don't know what exactly sharing thing means, but if they contact me directly and tell me their own details, I can help them for the sharing things.
Just with regards to, I guess, the ownership of it, just so because it is a student union service, so like, and we're not to take it from you, but just so we also have access to it, just for in the future if we ever need to make updates or changes to the website.
Yeah, for the changes of the website, if you really want to need to send me all the things what you exactly want to change the website, but I can give you the access of the same thing if a person is good enough to make the changes.
Mm-hmm. Okay, awesome.
Any other questions? So yeah, Tiffany has a question right now.
Hi. So in terms of verifying donations, like, do people have to donate this way, or can they just do it as regular? Like, can they also just like pop in like before, or are we gonna have both ways, or just the new way?
Yeah, you can have both ways. It's just that COVID thing was going on last year, and we really don't want to. The people should, be there for the donations. So if suppose I have a material on my place, I want to donate as SFRC. I just need to go log in my website and create the product list and then submit it. So in that way, it will be automatically in the system. And once the donation has been accepted by the volunteer or an admin, the product has already be added in the inventory of the website. Basically, this is the most quick way, but if a person wants to go and do that, we can do as well. It's just that we just need to add it manually via volunteer. So volunteer can add it manually, so they can pretty much work on the website. And yes, volunteer needs some kind of a training, so that is also provided by me if I got some list of the volunteers. Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Who else has a question? Sean, I'm not able to see the name, but yes, whosoever is just asked the question.
Yeah, hi there. Great presentation. Thank you for that. I know you put a ton of work into it. I guess where I'm still a little bit confused, though, is around sort of the back end management. So I understand that the volunteers who work at the SFRC would be responsible to keep the inventory updated. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Have you gone through, like, how long does that take approximately? Like, have you kind of done a test run on sort of inputting that data?
Yeah, we just did it. So as we promised that it will not take anything, like, you just need to put your mind, you just need to go there, open the website, like I did, like add the products. So products are already listed over there. You just need to click on that product, add the quantity, 2 quantity, 4 or 5 packets we have, and then just add it. That's the only thing that volunteer can do over there. Nothing much.
So what's your recommendation on how often that occurs?
So basically, what I have observed in SFRC, all the data should be like maintained on the list of Excel sheets, basically. So if you are able to maintain that data on Excel sheet, and if any volunteer can go to their home home place, they got a volunteer ID and the password, they can go there and they can also add products at their home space or any space. So approximately on every Thursday, when this SFRC is closed and volunteers are there to create the inventory or just to add the inventory, before adding it, they can just count the number of the pieces, make a list, and just add it on the system. That's the thing, they can do it by their own self. And inventory needs to be updated every week, whenever we receive the bunch of boxes. Every time we need to create the inventory, add the products. So it would be really easy, as we have already listed all the products and we have all the categories listed. So you just need to add the number of the packets. If you have received 100 packets, just type 100 and click on the add button. That's the only thing that is needed to be done.
Okay, thank you.
Just a question, kind of jumping off just where Sean was. So right now we're currently getting shipments from 3 different sources on 3 different days sometimes. So just one, I guess, just do you have any recommendation on how best to go about doing that? Just because if we're getting shipments on 3 separate days, that's like how can we make sure that we're keeping the inventory up to date? Just because I don't think it's going to be, I think, a bit difficult to get volunteers to do inventory 3 times a week every week for the year.
Yes, so the best possible way to that is just to keep the Excel sheets of everything. And rather than doing it 3 different times, you can just choose just one day and add the products on the list. Basically, that's the best possible way. So inventory is something that is needed to be done by someone. Even if you're going to Walmart or anywhere, there was always a procedure of the inventory things. The only thing is easier here is just that we already have the specified products over there. So you can just choose one day to got the inventory. But honestly, I would be working with SFRC for after quite few months now to just train them on particular specific dates. And if there is any problem arrive, I'll look into it, and if I could solve it, if there is any problem, then I'll do that personally. So for that, I just needed the access of the SFRC store and the volunteers list so that I can know that at that particular point of time they are arriving and I can able to train them. Last time I trained two volunteers within half hour, and they are just doing everything by themselves. So that was the time when I just go for the inventory listing and everything. So by that experience, I know that would not take more than 15 minutes to train just one employee for that thing, because I think most of the person know how to use computers these days.
Okay, and then, yeah, okay, perfect. Awesome, thank you.
Is there any other questions for the website launch? And also, if you want to promote the website on the on the Insta page, you can do it by the URL that is already provided, so that students just go there, and we'll continue to work for the next few weeks so that we can ensure that everything will be in a process.
Is the website live now?
Yeah, website is totally live.
So are we? Okay, I'm a little surprised by that, to be honest. Are we keeping an updated inventory currently?
Not currently. We have all the list of the products specified on our website. If I can just share the link, just a second. I'm just going to share the screen again. So if you go there, we have already listed most of the products in different categories.
Okay.
Here, so when you just go there, and we are working on the inventory, so we just adding the quantities here. Basically, this quantity is 0 quantity right now, but as we update our inventory, it will go to, maybe we have 10 packets or 12, whatever it is, we will update it, and you can able to see it here, and you can able to see that quantity is not good over here. But as SFRC has lot of food products that is going to expire, or maybe some are expired soon, you can see most of the expiry products, but I would like to keep it updated so that more products who are in good condition would be more visible over this website. So yeah, everything will be updated soon in the next week when we are just going to work with volunteers.
So if it's not currently updated, I guess I have a bit of a concern that if students are somehow finding this website, I mean, I know we haven't promoted it a ton yet, but and they're looking and seeing that there should be some kind of a disclaimer or a banner or something saying that this is a soft launch and it's not completely active yet. We would love your feedback, something like that, because I guess I'd be worried for the students that do kind of happen along this, and then even though the quantities are zeroed out, which is great, but for the stuff that isn't zeroed out, if we don't necessarily have accurate numbers.
Yeah, totally agree. Yes, totally agree. So I would prefer like I just wanted to select a date, particularly Thursday we selected, and we're going to, you know, like most of students can visit the website after Thursday. But yes, nice suggestion. I would update it on the website that we are just, you know, this is a soft
Yeah,
launch basically. That's a
work
good
in progress.
suggestion. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming in. Yeah, thank you for your presentation. I loved the colors. It was lots of fun. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right. It looks like we are going to move forward with the annual plan presentation by the executive board.
Mary, are you able to share it?
Yeah, but it's taking me a while. Fine.
Okay, I have not figured out Teams sharing technology yet, so. I can start.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, I guess I can start giving everybody a rundown a little bit just about why we're doing this and where we're kind of at with the annual plan while Mary's bringing it up. So yeah, we just wanted to run by. So as I said in my exec report, we did start to build our annual plan for the upcoming year. So it's really just to give us like a solid direction where we want to take this year, while also taking into consideration the strat plan that came into effect last year over the next 3 years. So the way we kind of rolled through with it, or Mary, you want to sum it up? Okay, share it whenever. Just might be, yeah, perfect. So yeah, so this is a very kind of bare bones draft of what we're going to present to you today. We're still going to be working through this as we go throughout the summer, and we'll have it finalized before September, I hope. So kind of, I guess, the general way, the structure we wanted to go with this year, it kind of can vary year to year. But for this year, we kind of wanted to put kind of significant kind of annual plan goals under each specific portfolio. From there, so for example, for my 2 goals, so off-campus advocacy, and website, and approachable marketing. So obviously these are pretty general, and they might not make a lot of sense to everybody. But what we're going to do from here as we go forward, we're going to have some specific measurables. So to give everybody a better idea of how we're actually going to approach these goals and how we're going to accomplish them. And from there, we'll kind of figure out all those measurables. But as you can see also, like, we have support teams for every goal. So yes, like, I will be the lead on off-campus advocacy, but I'm also going to have Sophia and Ben as my supports. And we're going to kind of work together as a little small team to accomplish that goal. So yeah, I guess we'll kind of just go through and present each specific one. So we're just going to take turns going through. So it'll be pretty quick, but so for my 2 major goals for the annual plan this year, I want to focus on off-campus advocacy, with my support team being Sophia and Ben. And I also want to really focus on the new website we're having coming out for the Students' Union, and focus on just having more approachable marketing throughout the year. So just making the Students' Union in general seem more approachable, and just showing students more, I guess, like what in general all we do. Because sometimes we miss some key things that the Students' Union actually does, and we want to make sure students know like where their money's going. Yeah, so those are my 2 main ones, and the support team for that second one is Kira and Brendan. So Mary, do you want to take away yours?
Yep. So my 3, first one is OER. There's a couple kind of big deliverables, I guess, under that one. Like, one of them is doing some professional development with faculty. Another one is establishing a grant with the university that will pay faculty to develop and adapt OERs. The next big goal is the academic equity policy, which I already mentioned today, but that's basically just the policy that would make sure that students are entitled to academic accommodations for equity-related things that prevent them from engaging in their classes. And the last thing is REASE, which you guys have also heard about, which is the online sexual violence reporting software, or like website, that we are trying to bring in. Those are my 3.
Brennan?
Awesome. Yeah, so my first one is going to be focusing on my wellness and my legal this year. My supports for that are Mayor and Ben. And with my wellness, just looking at better promotion and really just letting students know all the different services and things that provides. And then also looking into my legal and doing things like bringing MC in today to give that, and Sean to give that presentation. And then moving forward, just getting student feedback on whether or not we think it's a good idea to move forward with that. And then second is the Bloomfield renovations, and my support for that's Kira and Jack. And I'm sure most of you already know about the renovation that we're doing. So it's going to be to the Golden X Inn, the old Pharmasave, and just some other spaces in Bloomfield. So that's going to be a big project for me this year and for the team. So yeah, thank you.
Great. And yeah, I'm going to just do Kira's because she had to leave. But her 2 goals for right now are she wants to focus on just better engagement and collaboration with students. And then another big, and Ben and I will be being supports for that. And then the second big one is going to be kind of a focus on Frost Week. That might be the first week we have that we can really kind of, will most likely be in phase 5. We might not be for orientation week. So we really want to put a big focus on that and make sure we have a bunch of sick programming for students when they come back to campus in January. And Sophia and Brennan will be the supports for that. Sophia?
Hi, everybody. So my 3 goals, my first one, and this is the wording, I'm working on the wording for this first one because I don't like it very much, but it's to reform and rebrand our student union community leaders. And my support team for that is Ben and Kira. Also a big one for me this year and for the team is the residence renewal project for students. And Jack and Kira are my support team for that one. All 3 of us sit on committees through that residence renewal. And my last one is student advocates, which Brendan and Jack are my support team. And that's mostly just like kind of making them more accessible to students and like increasing their training and stuff like that. Yeah.
Thanks, so. Okay, I'll just jump into my 3 here, everybody. So the first one is talking about Atlantic OER. So that's just advocating and continuing to try and get an institutional promise to kind of use the Atlantic OER repository and start really getting OERs going in our schools. So like a couple measurables for that right off the bat is like student awareness and like setting up like our Atlantic OER champions, student champions committee, which is just one of those, and then just continuing to talk to government about that. Secondly is a new mental health standard. So right now, institutions in Nova Scotia follow the Okanagan standard, which is, it's really just 6 pages. But there's a new mental health standard that's been put out by the Canadian Institute for Mental Health, which is somewhere closer to 50, which would really be nice to see an institutional promise and push towards this new standard. And then lastly is funding and advocacy for indigenization and decolonization on campus. So this was more looking in terms of education modules and funding and support for the creation of something along those lines so that we can advance those goals on our campuses. So yeah.
Great. So yeah, does anybody have any questions? Like again, this is very like bare bones, rough, and we still might be making edits over the next month, but we just wanted to give you guys an idea of kind of where we were with that process. And yeah, I guess we'll be going from here on, so. Great. If you do have any questions or concerns though, feel free to email any one of us. We can get back to you about that. Thank you.
All right, sorry, I was just trying to make a little joke. All right, we're gonna head into our last presentation. How crazy, how novel, love that for us. All right, Sophia, if you wanna take things away with your election plan for SUCLs, you have the floor, baby.
Naomi, can you share the PDF version of the slideshow for me?
Yes, I just need to hunt it down real quick.
I can, it got sent out through the package. Just because my Canva doesn't seem to want to work well enough for me to like present it. I have a hard time.
Yes. 1 second. I opened the wrong thing. It will just be real quick. Here we go. Boom. Shakalaka. Is it working? It says presenting ... Is it working?
Almost. I think it's loading.
Oh my god. The suspense.
You know. Just a black screen. Oh no. Let me see if
it's not working.
Yeah, it's just a black screen. Let me see if I can pull it up here. Let me try.
Okay. Sorry, folks. Technical difficulties. Let me try again. Whoop. Yeah, I don't know why it's doing that. Actually, let me try doing this. Oh, oops. Is it working? Please tell me it's working. Okay, I'm going to try again by leaving the meeting and coming back in. Sorry, folks.
Naomi, I might be able to do it.
Are you sure?
Yeah, hold on a second.
Sorry, folks. Sorry, I'm going to try again. I think it should work now. Please tell me it's working. Is it?
No, I don't think so.
No. Okay, hold on.
Black screen.
I think I got. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna try putting this in. Can you still see my screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about?
Thank you so much. Sorry that happened. I don't know what's wrong.
Can you still see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah,
You're
it's
good.
perfect.
Okay, cool. Okay, I can't see anybody, so if there's any questions, my presentation's really short, so maybe just save them to the end and I can take all of the questions then. Really excited about this. I realize it's been a really long session, so I'm gonna try and get through this as quickly as possible. But thanks for hanging on. So yeah, let's get into it. So this is my proposal for SUCL elections for 2021. And so a little bit of background on why I'm proposing this. So the residents' experience of a COVID-19 year, many returning students chose to move out of residence and off campus for their second year, which is a little bit unusual seeing as we usually have a high amount of students returning to residence. This meant that this spring, most of our applications for SUCL positions were first year students. And so for the health of students and to ensure that first year students have the best O-week experience ever, we decided we wouldn't be hiring first years for the positions until after O-week. So with that in mind, this proposal seeks to solve a few problems that have come to arise with the job. One of these problems is role confusion between CAs and SUCLs. As an SUCL last year, I got asked a lot of times if I was a CA or if I was on duty when I was just kind of walking around the building. Another problem this proposal seeks to solve is a lack of interest in applying for the position. So I hope that with an election format, it encourages students to see the benefits of peer leadership in the building, and it would help residents and applicants alike definitely gain a better sense of community within the building. Also, with having first years likely to take positions this year, it might help the SUCLs lead the House Council because they would be elected to that position by their peers. So just quickly, for anyone who doesn't know, a Student Union Community Leader, or SUCL, is a student in residence who serves their community by encouraging participation at events within the House, on campus, and within the greater community. SUCLs co-chair their House Councils, along with the hall director, and they run events in the House that foster House spirit and Xaverian pride. Basically, student union community leaders are community-minded students who display the values of the students' union and state effects as a whole. So just an overview of what an SUCL's responsibilities usually are. So they are in charge of selecting members for House Council alongside the Hall Director. They also co-chair House Council alongside the Hall Director. They're to be a constructive member of the core leadership team within residence, which is usually the Hall Director, the RLC, the CAs, and the SUCLs. They have to maintain communication with the VPRA, the House Council Coordinator, and the Res Life team in their building. Their main role, though, is to plan events in the building that foster positive house spirit and then educate students as well. Something they also learn is the ERC process, which is how they plan their events. They also have to attend training sessions. We also have them attend bi-weekly check-ins with the VPRA and the House Council Coordinator. And they are to encourage and promote attendance to student union events and campus-wide events. But most importantly, they're to be a productive member of the residence community. So the benefits. Oh, I missed a slide. Okay. Our current versus proposed hiring practice. So our current hiring process is the same as all honorarium positions. The students apply and are interviewed by a hiring panel and then ratified through council. What I'm proposing is for 2021, the students would elect the candidates they wish to put forward to council for ratification. So the students would still be ratified through council. However, they would be put forward to council by their house. So the benefits. There are many benefits to having the House elect its SUCLs. Giving the residents a say in selecting their SUCL will increase how much SUCLs are seen as peer leaders, resources, and supports within the building. Also, the role clarity between SUCLs and CAs is also likely to improve because the House would be aware that they had elected their SUCL rather than having them be hired outside of the building. Also, as co-chairs of the House Council, the newly elected SUCLs would genuinely represent the building's interest. So this is a brief overview of how this would work. A lot of the logistics for the actual voting part I'm still working on, and I'm still brainstorming a bunch with the exec team just to make sure that I have the best but simplest voting strategy. So basically, candidates would apply for the position and run in the election. So there would still be an application into the office, but everyone would be able to apply and then run in the election. Candidates would then present 3 posters to the office of the VPRA for approval. Once approved, those posters can be posted throughout the building, on their personal social medias, but those will be the only media that they'll be allowed to post on social media. The campaign would then run from a Monday to a Wednesday of a given week. Voting would then occur on Thursday in each building, and then houses would know who would be put forward to council for ratification on the Friday. So it would just be a quick week of campaigning, voting, and notification of who's going to be put forward to council. So if anyone has any questions even after this, you can email me. However, I'm going to close the presentation so that I can see all of you guys. How do I do this? Ba-dum-bum-bum. Stop sharing. Did it work? Okay. Hi. All right, questions. I think Mackenzie has her hand up.
Yeah, I think this is a really neat idea. I was just wondering if you would put any thought into how you were going to introduce the positions of SUCLs and kind of promote it to the first years.
Yeah, so actually Kira Tessier and I have been working a lot with OCREW on how their role is going to be just slightly different for those who are going to be working in the buildings, like Perma and eBay and Chill during O week, because we won't have SUCLs. And one of the things that we're going to be asking these OCREW to do, and all of OCREW, is to just really promote the heck out of the SUCL position and just get people really excited about being SUCLs in their building. The other thing this year with the SUCLs is we're completely phasing out the old language of HPVPs. So there's just going to be 2 SUCLs. So that'll be a big thing too, as we continue to talk about SUCLs, is like simply using that language. But I'm really excited to have OCREW, and I'm also working with a lot of the Res Life staff as well to just also really promote the heck out of the position. So yeah, does that answer your question?
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
Meredith?
Hi, Soph. I don't have a question. I just wanted to say this presentation was super well thought out and well done.
Thank you. I had a lot of fun coming up with the presentation and just really brainstorming through the whole process. Yeah. Any other questions? Coolio. Thank you for listening, everybody. And if you have any questions or comments or anything, feel free to email me anytime. I would love to have even more feedback. So sweet. Thank you.
Hi. Okay. Sorry. All right. Thank you so much, Sophia. Love the presentation. I thought it looked fantastic. We are going to move on ahead. We have no old business, but we do have new business. So what we're going to be voting upon today is the adoption of this plan that Sophia has brought towards us so that we potentially can use it in the upcoming year. Would somebody like to introduce the motion to approve the temporary election plans for SUCLs?
I motion to approve the plan.
All right. And can I get a second, please?
I second.
All right. Thank you so much, folks. Is there any debate at this time? All right. If somebody would like to call the question.
Motion to call the question.
Thank you. Okay. All those who would like to oppose? All right. All those who would like to abstain from the vote? All right. The motion passes unanimously. Thank you, folks. Okay. Well, looks like just my closing remarks. Thank you for being so patient today, everyone. I know it was a little bit on the long side. Moving forward, just because I have noticed that we've been getting a fair amount of presentations, we're going to, instead of doing council every month, we're going to start doing it every 3 weeks as we would during the school year. So our next council date, I think, is August 8th. Yes, just so that we can get 2 councils in August before we get back to school. All right, folks, that's everything from me. I will send out an invite to your teams for the upcoming date. Would somebody like to motion to adjourn the meeting?
I motion to adjourn the meeting.
Thank you. Can I? Oh, yeah, sorry, somebody second. Awesome. All right. All those who would like to oppose? All those who would like to abstain? All right, the meeting has been adjourned. The motion passes. Thank you so much again, folks. I will see you on August 8th. Have a great day.
See you, everybody. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.